Well, let's get a little more serious. I with these two guys in this show, I thought, with what's going on, I thought these are the perfect guests. With stuff with the National Anthem stuff going on right now. Ishe, I know I friends with you on Facebook. I see you post a lot of stuff about it. Kevin, that's before you got known for how good a fighter you are. You got known for your controversial comments with Sage Northcutt and stuff. So two perfect guests here. Plus we have Frank to talk about the topic. First of all, let's just talk about this past week, and Donald Trump said his comments, which kind of sped up the process. I guess we had a few guys on knees before. Now most of the league, or a significant portion, took a knee. Ishe, first of all, what did you think about the president's comments, and then what do you think about the way the players reacted?
I think his comments miss the mark of what the right is to protest. I mean, when you go to war, when you go to fight in the war, and I have family members who are fighting. My brother-in-law just got sent to Iraq about a couple weeks ago. So when you fight, they fight for you to have that right, that the First Amendment, Second Amendment, I think, to have that right of freedom of speech, and that they're protesting, they are exercising that right. Colin Kaepernick started that right last year. It was a quiet protest. He just sat down. He didn't say anything at first. Everybody's like, he wants attention. He did it for like 2 games, and nobody said anything. And finally, I think the 3rd game, somebody asked, why was you sitting? And he responded, he wanted justice for blacks. He wanted cops to be held accountable. He didn't even say blacks. He said minorities. He wanted cops to be held accountable for killing innocent blacks and innocent people, and he was going to kneel for that. And then he met with a veteran who told him, we would prefer you to take a knee and not, sit down, and that's how the whole knee started. So I just think his comments missed the mark. I thought this weekend was more so Trump attacked the NFL's brand, and the message got missed. The message got diluted in Trump. It was made about Trump, and this has never been about the president. Colin Kaepernick started this under Obama, and it was never made for a president. And I think this weekend was just something that, the message kind of got diluted in the fact of what Trump had to say, calling them some bitches. So, it's disappointing. It took him days. When Charlottesville happened, he said those are very kind, very friendly and kind people. I find
some of them are good people.
Yeah, some of them are good people, and I don't know anybody who's Nazi, who waves the Confederate flag, who supports Nazi. I don't know them to be good people. I mean, that's just a horrible thing to say, and not to condemn that. And somebody actually died there. Heather Heyer died. She was ran over, and she was murdered there. And it took them days to even call that law. It's just disappointing where the country is right now. I think, as a whole, it's just so disappointing. I mean, today I was reading something that Mike Tomlin, fire chief, called him a nigger, and you see things like that, and it's just disappointing. I want equalities. I want cops to be held accountable. Me personally, I probably wouldn't take a knee. It's not my thing, but I'm not gonna, I support those who exercise their right to do that. That's their right. That's what the people go to fight for, and to exercise that right, and that's the right for everybody.
Kevin, let me ask you this, and you can chime in or read out if you want. But the thing I had said before you guys get here is that the problem with this protest, or whatever you want to call it, in my eyes, is when does it end? It's not like we need this law passed, and when this law passed, it ends. This is we need equality for everybody. When does it end? Because your version of equality is different than Ishe's, is different than mine. There's no defined, okay, we've fixed it now. So when does it end?
It really don't end. It's just,
at least the NFL part of it's going to have to at some point.
Yeah, maybe, but it's just getting the voice out there, and I think people are missing that mark. You got a lot of people that are criticizing the players and saying, oh, you just play a game, you make millions of dollars, like what you complaining about. Like they don't understand. Like they talking for the people that don't have a voice, and that's what's really driving home. So it's not gonna end until those people are met. You know, yeah, you can give the players whatever. Like it doesn't really matter. I went and I watched the press conference with LeBron James today, and I mean, I don't know if he ever gonna listen to this, ever gonna see it, but I got a double salute to him because I mean, to be in that position, have that much money, you know, LeBron James signed $1 billion deal. Like, I think for a regular person, that's just so they can't even like fathom that. You know, you can talk all, you know, it ain't gonna change you and all this, the money ain't gonna, but you ain't been in that position. For a guy like that, for a man like that to step up and say what he said and stand up for the people that don't have a voice, I got to give him double salute. Like, and I can only wish that my position was bigger, that I had more influence. You know, when I get that gold belt on Saturday, that's gonna obviously broaden my horizon. So I will be able to say a little bit more and have a little bit more influence on people. But when you got that much influence and you using it for the right, it's so easy to sit back and say nothing. And I don't think it's going to end until those people that are down at the bottom when they finally have a voice.
So we can have a dialogue, which we need, but I guarantee you'll be dead, I'll be dead, you both will be dead, and people will still be saying we don't have equality. It's never going to be as long as there's different people that look different, people are going to be disagreeing.
You still got to work for it, you know? You still work towards it.
I'm pretty sure the people I'm pretty sure that blacks had to sit in the back of restaurants, when blacks had to ride in the back of the bus, or they couldn't eat certain places.
But see,
I'm pretty sure they thought that when does it end? And it ended.
But
so
see,
you
that
have to have that dialogue in order for change. You have to bring the conversation to the table in order for some type of change. If you just think it's never going to end, then
but that goes back to what I was saying. When you're saying, okay, black people can't eat in certain restaurants, they can't sit in the back. That's a law you can pass. You can't pass that while things need to get better.
Yeah, you can pass a law against police. You can't have.
Well, you
can't have a district attorney or a prosecutor. You can't have them being the ones that's going to decide whether a cop should be prosecuted. The cop that shot Walter Scott in the back got off. I mean, they didn't convict him. They acquitted him. I mean, they didn't even bring up charges. I mean, Tamir Rice was 15 years old. He was playing with a toy gun, and within 3 seconds, the cops got there and murdered him. He was a kid. These are things that you can't tell me if that person was a white that these things wouldn't happen. Orlando Castillo was pulled over not for a broken taillight because his nostrils matched those of a suspect in a robbery. I mean, like, come on. And that's what the cop said on the radio. Hey, I think his nostrils matched those. Let me pull this guy over. And he was murdered in front of his fiance, in front of his daughter. He was telling the cop, hey, I got a license to carry. That cop got off. You can't have the court system judging these cops.
I see what you're saying. You want something like in stone. You want like a law or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
there's no. I mean, that's
you can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, laws don't really mean as much as what you think. I think the problem now is that you can't walk down the street and not feel judged or not feel you can't walk into a room and not have people. You got to change people's minds, not the laws. The laws don't really mean. You can make a speed limit law. Motherfuckers still gonna speed. You know what I mean? They gonna speed based on how big the street is, how fast they gotta get somewhere. So you gotta change people's minds. You don't necessarily have to change the. I mean, yeah, you can make a law, but who give a? It don't really matter. It's about changing how people feel, and yeah, maybe I will be dead, but it's about my son's sons, and it's about my son. Like, okay, I had a better life than my dad. I want my kid to have a better life than me, and that is going to be what other people, how other people look at him, how other people view him. And if I can change the way that people view my son, then I'm going to give it my best shot. I mean, I might not, maybe I won't be successful, but shit, at least I'm going to try. Like, I'm going to go down and swing. Like,
but again, even you're always going to have, the police. Like, I agree. I mean, police corruption, police, that also be addressed.
All police aren't bad.
Right.
So I don't want to kill that narrative, but there are some bad police. In Baltimore, there was police found planting evidence. I mean, there's been bad police, there have been bad people since the beginning of time. If you go look how Emmett Till was murdered, if you just Google Emmett Till and you see the way he looked, the guys that killed him got off. And the woman years later says she made the whole story up. The kid never even talked to her. I mean, this has been going on for years, and everybody's mad Kaepernick decided to kneel. Well, people are mad when Ali didn't go fight in the war. Well, what's the one thing he said? I'm not going to go defend a country where my black brothers and sisters don't have simple rights here at home. No Viet Cong never called me nigga. That's what he said. He didn't box for 3 years. We lost three of the best years of Ali's careers because he didn't want to go fight. He didn't believe in the war. People say, well, he just didn't want to fight. No, he said it. He wasn't going to go fight for a country where his brothers and sisters didn't have simple rights here. And, you know, I just think Kaepernick took a stance. He brought something to the forefront, and it needs to be discussed. You can't have police policing police. You just can't.
Kaepernick said at the beginning of this year, if he was signed, he was going to stand.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think, why do you think he was willing to stand with the players now or not? And he was more directed against police. It seems like now it's more against in general society.
I think this past weekend, it just went over.
But even before that, we didn't have as many. But
we didn't have as many. We had some. You had the Michael Bennett's. Well, and if you look at his interaction with the police here, you can kind of be like, whoa, that was a little bit excessive. I mean, he's on the ground. They're telling him to shut the F up. They got a gun to his head. He's like, whoa, like, because I'm big, I'm black. Why are you doing this? So, and I just think, Kaepernick had got his point across. He's donated a lot of money, and I think he just wanted to play football. It wasn't going to stop what he was doing in the community. He bought suits for, convicts or former convicts who couldn't get, jobs or have money to buy suits. And he's done so much more than that. I can't even begin to name all the things he's done with his $1 million pledge that he took the initiative for this last year. But I just think, people now are starting to see, nobody believes black people. And they say, you know what, police brutality. Nobody believes it. Oh, no, that doesn't happen. You caught Rodney King on tape. Oh, that's just one thing. You know what, everybody started getting these. And then all of these turned into what they're supposed to have, which is the things, they're supposed to have those.
It's even now. It's like the people that get mad at the players for kneeling. It's like, what are you getting mad about? Are you getting mad that they're kneeling, they're disrespecting? Like, if it was a soldier and he was kneeling and saying that, he's kneeling because the military ain't getting the right, the rights that they need, or if it's Colin and he was kneeling, and that's the reason why he said, I don't think people would get as mad as when they say, oh, I'm kneeling for black rights. Well, if you get mad about that, I mean, that's the fucking problem right there. Like, you are the problem. Like, you don't see that. It's just it blows my mind that people are so closed-minded and they so and to even have a president to kind of he's reinforcing it. He's creating the hate and he's creating the divide. It's fucking crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I don't see how nobody else gonna see that.
You know what? If I have a problem with Frank, I'm gonna say, Frank, you're an asshole.
He is.
I'm just gonna say that if Frank has a problem with me, I would hope Frank would say, Ishe, you're an asshole. I don't like you. How come if a person of an opposite color has a problem with someone, they call him a nigger? Like, what is that? That word is rooted in hate. You call me a nigger, beat me up, that's a hate crime. Right away, that's an automatic hate crime. It's much more than a simple assault. I just don't understand, like, why does that word have to be displayed when it's rooted in so much hate, so much anger, and black people have suffered from that word. And then they go, well, what about when you say it? What about when you guys say it to each other? Or what about Chicago? What about,
I'll take it a step back from you. This was just yesterday. My pops needed some money. I wrote him a check. We got the same name. He's Kevin Lee Sr., I'm Kevin Lee Jr. I wrote him a check. He take it to the bank. He go and try and cash it. And they thought he was stealing it. Right. They locked the doors on him. They called me and was like, oh, do you know this man? And it's because he's big. He's a big black man. And I mean, yeah, maybe they didn't call him nigger. Maybe they didn't beat him up. Maybe they didn't do that to his face. But do we need to go through that shit for nothing? If he was a well-dressed, I'm gonna just be blunt with it. Like, if he was a well-dressed, blonde hair, blue-eyed white boy, they wouldn't even look again. They look at his ID, they look at the thing, and they be like, okay, you cool. But since he, looked a certain way that he do, they gotta lock the doors and, make calls. And it's just, what's all that for? It's, and I think that's what needs to change more than the laws and
it's everything. The
Yeah.
law, the Muslim ban, the Muslim, the country ban, the travel ban, it's everything. When people don't know, out of the whole thing of this, the kneeling thing, he just passed another travel ban. He just, he expanded it to more countries. So he's just sneaking things in there, man, and it's just, it's very disappointing. I have Muslim friends. I have, some family that's Muslims, and to kind of just pick one religion and single that one religion out, it's kind of disappointing, and you have Christians. You have Christians down south that'll go worship God and say and call you nigger the next day. They'll call you nigger. They'll be in church Sunday morning and call you nigger Sunday afternoon, and they say, "Oh, I'm not sitting next to that nigger." What type of love is that? What type of Bible is that? If you're a Christian, what type of Bible is that? God doesn't say nothing about color in the Bible. You follow the Bible, he says nothing about color.
Not that we care what Narrow thinks on this matter.
I appreciate that.
I know you were trying to get in.
No, since Adolf Hitler and President Trump took over, us Muslims have now gone bottom of the list. So I've been listening to this debate. I think there's a couple of underlying important things that everybody should understand. And it's very rare that we're serious on the show. This has been probably the most serious 10 minutes or 15 minutes that we've ever had. And it's an important topic because the country is in a crisis now. I think there's a couple of important things that we have to step back before we get into, the manifestations of what's happening. We have to look at the underlying problems of what developed and why that's all coming forward. Is the United States, America, the world racist? I think that if anybody thinks that people aren't labeled or stereotyped, I think that you're naive. I think there's always, he's the black guy. Listen, it's in our innate nature. When I introduce two guys, they'll say, Frank's coming, no, there's Ishe, he's the black guy. It's just, when you describe people, we describe them by color, not because we feel racist, but I believe there is something that draws people to that. So does racism exist? Absolutely it does. Has it existed before Donald Trump? It absolutely has. Did he make it a little bit more easier for you to come forward and say, you're a Muslim, you're black, you're Mexican? Yes, he did. Mind you, I say that and I'll say this. As the president of our country, and this is just how I feel, and this is very individualized, and I believe everybody on this panel, and everybody watching, and everybody in the United States, across the world, everybody is entitled to their opinion, because like you said, there isn't a standard of what is right and what is wrong. But is it right? And who has that answer of is it right? I don't know. Let's talk about the anthem. And I hear Ishe talk, and I hear Kevin talk, and I hear vets talk, and I hear sportscasters talk, and I hear all these guys talk, and it's so hard to argue at one point, but it comes back to one thing. What do you feel, and this was your question, Jody, what do you feel the anthem stands for? Now, if we said, determine black and white, and I don't mean that racially, but set sentences, the anthem stands for the valor, honor, deaths, and courage that the veterans made to give us our freedoms and to make us the number one country. You wouldn't have one person kneeling, because you don't protest that. But the interpretation of the anthem is Donald Trump, the government, the police, the law, and that's where people say, I'm going to take a knee, I'm going to sit down. It's the interpretation of what that stands for, and that's the conflict. And listen, I had a conversation today. We're promoting a show, Lace Up Promotions, by the way, promoting a show September 30th in Rhode Island. We're doing it at the Westerly Armory. We have vets. The majority of the guys that are there helping us are all veterans. They say, and I talked to them today, we had the conversation. I mean, it's unfortunate. Every conversation now you have is, hey, what do you think is going on? What do you think about what's going on? And he said, listen, I fought, and this is a Caucasian, a white vet, said, I fought for people to be able to take a knee. That's his take on it. But you'll have the same kind of people, the same kind of race, call it, religion, say, hey man, stand up for the damn flag. This has nothing to do with black rights. You're right. To you, it doesn't. To him, he says the anthem stands for the Constitution. It doesn't stand for what all the lives that were lost and what are. So it depends on the translation of the anthem. Amer Abdallah, a Muslim, Palestinian, Jordanian, American, proud of all four of those. I believe the anthem stands for the country, not the president. It stands for our honor. It stands for our freedom. And I believe that everybody should stand for the anthem because that's my belief of what the anthem is. If the anthem had 1% to do with the Oval Office or what's going on in our government or that judicial committee and branch, executive branch, I would be on my knees. I don't mean that in a homosexual way. I mean that in a.
I thought we were switching our mind.
No, I would be taking a knee. You know, it's just interpretation. So, to finalize my point, it depends on what you feel that flag stands for. I believe and I feel that is the country's honor and pride, and I would not take a knee. If you want to protest, there are different ways to protest. But my interpretation of it. Now, mind you, Ishe may say, listen, that doesn't. It stands for the law. It stands for the governing body. The blue stands for, you know, the executive branch and the top. So because of that, I'm going to take it. And you know what? He's justified that because that's the interpretation. But there's no black and white law that says this is what our constitution, our anthem stands for. And that's right.
Frank, I didn't even realize you were here.
No. Well, you know, I'm a vet, so you know, there you go. But
Thank you for your service.
no, that was my choice, but I appreciate that, Ishe.
I
But
always say that.
But you know what? I see it like this, and you know, I don't take offense. You know, I know there's vets out there like, yeah, you shouldn't be taking a knee because I do. I believe that. It's not a strong belief. I chose to join the army. I chose to, but not necessarily choose to fight, but did. And what Kaepernick is doing, what he did, I guess it was a year ago, and the outrage that everything's going on right now, I see this progress. You know, and again, you got to break eggs to make an omelet. And I think guys like Kevin, Ishe, who have a voice and who are speaking on it and that are trying to change it, I think that's important. LeBron James, even Kaepernick, what he's doing now, you know, you have to go through, you know, these trials and these rough times to eventually, like everybody's been saying, we're not going to see it in our lifetime. We're going to eventually progress, and hopefully 200 years from now, my great-great-great-grandchildren live in an equal world. But, you know, like I said, it's no matter where you're at, whether it's this country, I don't see this country as a white or black or a color thing. I don't even see it as a divide. When I was abroad, I was on a team, you know, and I don't know if you guys have like that team. You're a team player. I'm fighting for my team. Mm-hmm. If Ishe we're doing a TMT versus Top Rank card, we're gonna respectfully wave our flags. You know, but at the end of the day, we're gonna shake our hands and say, all right, Ishe beat my fighter. Ishe, you know, I always liked you. You know, may the best man win, whatnot. And that's the way I see it. I'm gonna defend everyone in my country that stands up for what they believe in and what the right thing is. And you know, I try to stay away from negativity as much as possible. But in a world where there's so much, it's important for guys like Colin Kaepernick, whether you like him as a football player or as a person or not, to take a knee. I'm not gonna take a knee. That's his thing. You know, that's his thing. That's, you know, he started it. He's gonna be an icon 50 years from now. You know, it's like Muhammad Ali for his statements. That's what he's going to do. He's made an impact. It's now up to the people with a voice to not do exactly what Colin Kaepernick is doing, but in their own way, try to change things. You know, be a role model to those who look up to you. And if you really do have the strong beliefs, you know, there's just confrontational people out there. I think that's what the people that are against people kneel. And like I said, I told you the story. I'm a vet. I didn't take my hat off. And there's been times I didn't stand up during a national anthem. It's my right. Maybe my knee hurts, or maybe, you know what, I don't feel patriotic at the moment about my country at the time. It's my fucking right to sit and not stand up or take my hat off. Now, if someone wants to be confrontational about it, that's their issue. You know, hey, you're not doing this, who are you, and this and that. And I mean, that's just what it is. And, you know, like I said, Colin Kaepernick, whether he's a good person or a bad person, he stood up for what he believed in. And it's trickled in, and, you know, it's got the president's attention. And this could change. Something can change. The president is right now facing a lot of fucking heat. And that's what we wanted. I mean, if you're against Trump, you want him to feel this pressure. And he's feeling it right now. So, you know, if you're genuine with what you believe in, and it's the right thing, and it's in a positive manner, I'm all for it. I fought whatever sacrifice I made, whatever anybody wants to consider my sacrifice a sacrifice, and I did. I was away from my family for many years. But then I fought for something. So
I think that's the most important thing is, like you said, creating that dialogue. You know, that's what it's all about. So whether you agree with the protest, whether you agree about the national anthem, whatever, you gotta congratulate the dialogue being created. You know, I just wish that my voice was bigger, that I could do it even more. You know, a couple months ago, I started this right before my fight with Mike Chiesa. I started a hashtag 25 to life, and it means a lot to me because I just turned 25 last month, and next week I'm gonna be a world champion. But you know, it means so much more to that. At 25, for some reason, when I was a kid growing up, I was never a bad kid. You know, it was everybody that I looked up to. I grew up in the inner city of Detroit. Everybody looked up to was a hustler, a drug dealer, a booster, whatever he was. Like, that's what I saw as being successful, and I kind of went and I just made up my mind to go a different route. But still, for some reason, I thought at 25 I was going to be in jail. You know, I thought I was going to be. I was never a bad kid, but that's just what was instilled in me. And now at 25, I'm a week away from winning my first world title. So, and even if you know, because I'm fighting the top motherfucker next week, something can go wrong, something can happen. You know, he can hit me with a shot I ain't never seen before. Whatever, I'm still gonna feel like a world champion, and that's the message that I want to get to, you know, these young kids that's coming up. Because now, you know, like I got a brother, he just did 10 months over some dumb shit. You know, he went to jail. He just got out 2 months ago. But this is, you know, that's who I'm fighting for. The kids like that with no direction, with no way, where they don't see themselves at 25. They don't see where they're gonna go. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, my voice ain't that big now. It's still important. But it's still, you know, you can only reach one or two kids, it's still gonna matter.
You don't have a voice. I'm not big as a voice, but I have a voice.
You have a voice.
I'm on my social medias. I speak. I say what I'm gonna say. You know, one thing I want to touch on is that, you know, this has brought a lot to. This country has always been somewhat ugly, especially for minorities. It's always been somewhat ugly. It hides at times better, but it's always been that way since slavery. You know, since the time of slavery, since the time of going way back. I mean, the Confederates, a lot of those Robert E. Lee, those guys, they were slave owners. The guy on the $20 bill, he was a slave owner. You know, Andrew Jackson, I think it was, and they want to put the black lady on the front, Harriet Tubman, but they want to put him on the back. So thanks. I mean, put her on the front, put the slave owner on the back. Francis Scott Key, he wrote the anthem actually, in the third stanza they took out, but he was racist. So, I mean, this has brought a lot of forefront. You really have to, a lot to the forefront. You really have to do your history to understand. So, I don't have a problem with that. But going back and realizing what it's rooted from and where it came from, like, whoa, I never knew that. I never knew the guy that wrote the anthem was a racist and he owned slaves and he raped women and, you know, the
right,
Confederate.
but you see, that's part of the individualization, is how you interpret that anthem.
That's not how I interpret it. That's just how it was written, and they took it out.
Okay, so
whoever wrote that
let me just say this. Before I knew that.
Before you knew that, I don't have a problem. I still don't have a problem with it right now.
Sure,
I'm just saying the guy that wrote it was a racist.
I honestly, up until probably I was in my mid-20s, never even paid attention to the words. All I know is that.
No,
yeah,
right.
I mean, okay, so that's my point. So I just felt that was the honor of our country, and it symbolized and it stood for all the sacrifices our men and women made, our military made, and the freedoms that we have. And that's what I respected. Period. It had nothing to do with government. It had nothing to do with the president. It had nothing to do with anything. And that's why, to me, my view on it is different. As that's it. But listen, I'm a Muslim, and yes, you guys are African American, but don't get it twisted. We are on the bottom of the totem pole. We are now. No, we are.
No, you're not on the bottom. We
Oh,
all
no. I'll
No, black people are always going to be on the bottom.
I got
All I know, you guys owe us.
We are
All I know is me and Frank got it good, so you guys can find
We are on the bottom. We have always been on the bottom.
You were
No,
until 2001, and then
No,
that was
we are-
that. We all, every single
No,
Muslim
not a-
had
not a
nothing
little
to do
pressure.
with those 11
We
or
have
12
always stood on
people
the bottom.
that, you know, and whether you believe in the conspiracy theory or not,
Yeah, not a little
that
pressure.
put us
Nah, bro.
Everybody.
Who do we hate more, Frank?
bro.
Who do we hate more, the black guys
Yeah,
or the
who
Muslims?
does the KKK hate more?
I mean, the KKK has always hated black people. They still do.
No,
David
right.
Duke.
KKK, well,
David
I know he's
Duke loves
Yeah,
it.
but I think it's even deeper than that. You know what I mean? It's deeper than that for black folk in America, because we don't have like Muslim, like y'all got like people want to call us. I hate the word. I hate the term African American.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, because they took us from Africa. You know, we don't have, when we go back to Africa, there's no place for black people. Yeah, I 100% prefer black American.
There's racism
Because
against blacks, yes. Yes,
we have
of
no
course.
home. You know what I'm
There
saying?
is.
Like, at least Muslims
Black
have a
on
home
black?
to go back.
But wait,
I'm
listen,
gonna
it's
side-
all about how you
I'm
feel.
gonna side
you know?
with Kevin and Ishe for this reason.
wait, let me just, go ahead.
Mine's short. If I'm a racist person, I look at Kevin and I look at Ishe, I see a black guy. If I look at you, I look like I'm looking at a white guy.
Exactly.
So unless you're wearing your garb
Exactly. No, that's my point. That works in my favor. You guys are discriminated against for your color. We're discriminated against as Muslims. What about a black Muslim? What is he, a double whammy? No, we are
but at
not.
least you can still get a home loan. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm sorry, but
Black people have been they have just been on the bottom of the bottom system.
You were until we
and
came along.
but the thing is, our dads have, and our
mine don't
dads'
take pride in
dads
saying
have, and
that.
our dads have. You know,
Kevin,
And,
these
you know,
people are racist against blacks, which is a race. But when you're racist against a religion, that's
I
a
got
lot
you.
more specific.
I'm
What
with
about
you,
a
but-
black Muslim?
No, I
but-
think they're more aware of the religion. People don't like black people just because we're black.
Okay,
Look,
Isha, here's a great question.
Here's the thing.
Here's
Here's the thing.
They run
Here's the
around
thing.
asking people.
Because at the end of the day, I can give a fuck whether somebody like me or not. Like, I really could.
Of
Like,
course. I don't think anybody here cares about
yeah,
that.
I mean,
I'm doing
pretty
fine
sure you don't
without
care.
everybody's-
But this is what I'm saying is worse for black people is how you feel about yourself. You know what I'm saying? And it took me a long time to kind of realize that and understand that, because it's just like you saying that's been since 2001. Like, it's like I was born in 1992. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm
it's
not
you know,
saying that there isn't racism, Ken. My very first point was, if you think that there isn't racism, and let me even take
Oh,
it a
no,
step
it
further,
definitely
or that
is.
you
I'm
can
with you.
No,
solve
I'm with
racism,
you.
you are naive.
No,
I'm not saying you're
I'm
wrong
with
or
you.
dumb. You're
I
naive.
think, listen,
I'm
I
with you
think
100%.
Muslims
Indians got the
are
worst out of anybody.
discriminated
I'm gonna
against
throw
in
that
this
out
country.
there.
I would never say they're not, because they
Ishe.
are. But I don't think that you have it bad as black people.
Okay, I will disrespect
Black
listen,
people.
I'm not in your
black
shoes, and
people
you're not in my
are-
shoes.
yeah,
There
black
are.
people are very discriminated against, especially if you go down to the roots of deep down south, Alabama, Mississippi,
Sure.
the New Orleans, those type of places. They're very discriminated against.
Sure.
So
Man, it's discriminating against to the point where black people don't even like black people. You know, you get
Yeah,
some
no, we don't
black
have
people
that
that don't
problem.
like
Not
black
yet.
people. You know
We
what
don't
I
have
mean?
that
Like,
problem yet. But listen,
But
they were asking, they were doing some interview on one of these shows, and they said, well, I don't want to live next door to a Muslim. Wait a second, what do you mean? What if he's a high-educated, white, Caucasian, Fortune 500 CEO? Is that
That's just
okay?
ignorance.
Right.
That's just ignorance.
Well, that's the whole.
That's
All
just
racism is ignorance.
That's just
All
just
racism
straight
is ignorance.
But that's
You know,
more.
yeah,
That's
you
The
right.
more.
flag itself, if
That's
you protest
right.
the flag itself, what slavery was abolished in 1860 in the late 50s, early 60s. Well, that the anthem, the Stars and Stripes flag was hung before that time, so you could say that is the flag of slavery.
But
You could look at it that way.
But you know that everybody says that, well, slavery was abolished. You guys get over it. But you do know segregation was like in the 60s.
Absolutely.
That wasn't so long ago. I'm only 39.
I
so
couldn't- yeah,
60
I
is
couldn't
like
forget
57
about that.
years old.
Sure.
I mean, you're only 57. You
That's
die
your
at
dad.
57. That's pretty young.
That's my
you know?
dad.
Okay, so let me
You
ask
know,
you this.
so-
What's the solution? Listen, was slavery one of the worst times, not of U.S. history, of civilization? Absolutely. How do you fix it? If a country says, like the United States, we don't know what we were thinking, it was horrible, we're changing it, we're moving on, how do you change it?
You can't fix it because it's rooted in people. Like I said, that Martin Luther King was killed in 64, 68. The Civil Rights Movement was going around that same time. The March on Selma, all that stuff was going on around that 60 time. That's not that long ago.
No, it's not that long
I'm born in 78.
Well, so 150 years ago, women couldn't vote here.
We were segregated not that long ago. So you can't fix it. When you have somebody like a fire chief call Mike Tomlin a nigger, that's a setback in our eyes. We're like, whoa.
Okay, so here's the thing, Ishe, and I said this before, and I'm going to say it again a little bit clearer. You can't fix racism, the racism problem. You can't.
No, you will never fix it because you got to realize too, racism is taught. It's not something that is you're not born and I hold a baby and the baby's like, ew, he's black. No,
right.
That is taught. You were taught. When I take my little boy, he's 5 to the playground, they don't see color. They're out there playing, they're swinging
Ishe,
around.
I cannot agree with you more.
And they're having a good time. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. He was there riding the little seesaw thing. The thing go up and down. I'm just filming it. I'm like, this is beautiful.
I was in the same exact situation.
That is taught. And that is the problem. That is the one problem because it's hatred, racism, discrimination. That's all taught. It's not inherited. And like if somebody has cancer in your family, you may get that later on in life. But racism is not something you just get. You just wake up and
the sad part of it is that every single one of us, is not from here. Go back a generation, 2 generations, 3 generations. We're not from here. And it's sad that a melting pot of a country has hatred amongst people that aren't from here anyhow. Go back to your country. What fucking country? This is my country. I pay more taxes than most people make. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. It's the fact. It's the truth. So when you say to me, go back to your country, because my name is Amer Abdallah, what ground are you standing? I was born here. I was raised here. I have businesses here. I've made money here. I've lost money here. I've been through the ups and downs of this country. What makes me less? Because my name is Amer and I'm a Muslim?
I think the only way you're going to change it is to change the minds.
How do you do that?
How you feel, you know what I mean? Like, because again, I could give a fuck if somebody called me nigger or not. Like, I really don't care.
Kevin, I disagree with that.
I swear to God, I don't care. Like, people have called me much worse. I ain't gonna hold you up. And I mean, I really don't care about that. What I care about is walking into a room and not feeling comfortable. When the police pull up next to me and not feeling comfortable.
Of course not. If society in general calls you that, subconsciously,
I'm with you.
You're not going to feel comfortable.
If somebody
I'm not scared of no man.
As a fighter,
that's the fighter.
Somebody called me a nigger in front of my kids.
I'm gonna beat the fuck out. Like, it ain't gonna be no.
I can't. I'm not gonna say I'm with him. I'm not gonna care.
Exactly.
I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying that I don't care. I'm just saying that that's not my main problem. Like, that's not my. I don't walk around every day like, he called me nigger. Like, I'm just gonna feel down on myself.
You're not gonna feel bad. I'm just saying if that's something that's brought to the forefront.
But what bothers me is like when the police pull up next to me and I gotta feel, the hair on my skin stand up because I'm just getting nervous. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not even that they do anything. It's just the mindset.
I just got
and I think that's what you gotta change more than anything.
2 weeks ago, I just got my license and I didn't feel anything.
I
don't have no records. I've never been arrested. I don't want just give me my ticket and let me go.
Same here, but I feel nervous every time. Like, I ain't never been in no trouble, never been arrested. I'm a young guy. I'm a young, flashy,
You're an athlete or drug dealer. Is that everything they think of you?
100. Look, I just moved into.
You're not saying young guy.
Look, I just bought a house over in. I just bought a home in Henderson. It's a gated community and all that. And every single person there think I sell drugs. For sure, they think I sell drugs. I blast my music everywhere I'm going. I look flashy. Like, they for sure think I sell drugs. And honestly, like, I'm not that comfortable. Like, I'm actually more comfortable like in the hood. Like, I just would be more comfortable.
My sister we allotted 15 minutes.
My sister teaches in Dubai. She's a teacher in Dubai. She's got 26 kids in her class, 22 different nationalities. They don't have bullying. They don't have racism. They don't have any of that because they're all from outside. But they also don't have the history of slavery, and maybe that's what that mentality is instilled in people, is just that hatred, that innate hatred because of the history. So maybe you cannot overcome the past.
I don't really. I wish those people are gonna die. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
But you know what?
Let
The
them
people that were here in the '60s and were racist then, they turned into mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers, and they taught that. You know, they taught those things to those kids.
So the question is there a solution?
No, to racism, absolutely not. It is a solution to police brutality. We can fix that.
Sure.
But now there's just so many. Trump has made it so comfortable to be, to discriminate against Muslims, to discriminate against Mexico and Mexicans, and say that Mexico is sending they're worse, they're rapists, they're murderers, and I'm like, whoa. I'm half my family.
No, the one thing Vanilla ISIS did do, Donald Trump did do, is he did make it okay to segregate and identify.
Right.
All right, as we wrap this up, I just want to make 2 points quickly. First of all, I did 9 years in the military myself in the Air Force, but I don't care about the kneeling for the flag kind of thing. It doesn't bother me at all. My thing is, when I come home from work during the week, I watch the news, and that's when I watch what Donald Trump did, what Obama did, whoever, and I can get my politics. Like a lot of people, Sunday is my day. I want to divorce myself, or like a lot of people say they don't. Now I understand where the players come from. 30 more eyeballs than any time this time, so that's why they're doing it. But I don't want to hear the message. I want to watch football. Mm-hmm. That's what I get. And also, my thing is this: do you truly? And this, and I'm not equating what I'm about to say with the horrors of what Black people have been through. But do you really think they want equality? Because I guarantee you, do you think that the athlete's mind, and again, please do not say I'm comparing it, but when they don't have to wait in line for 2 hours at the club, do they want equality there?
Wait, they want equality as a race, not as a celebrity.
Yeah, they want
equality. They say I'm gonna go wait in the line.
No, that's way different, bro.
I'm not gonna say I want the equality of my wife and hold a baby for 9 months.
Yeah, you talking about some socialism, like communist type shit.
When we talk about equality, we talk about equality from Trayvon Martin, who was profiled, followed, murdered George Zimmerman when he got off. After the dispatcher told him, "Sir, don't follow him. Don't do that."
So on the lower end, you want lower end meaning the bottom fair things in life. You want that, but the perks, you're okay with that.
I mean, that's what America is about. That's what America is about.
Yeah, me and Kevin go to the club tonight. He's gonna go in, and he's gonna go right in. I'm gonna wait in line for 2 hours.
That has nothing to do with him being black and white, Jody.
No,
he's saying if John Travolta walks in,
that's not equality. You talking about some communist shit. Like, no, I like riding in Benz's Lambos, and like I enjoy that.
I have a shoe guy. Like if I want a pair of Jordans, I know I don't have to wait in line. I don't have to get a raffle. I just call up. Are you getting these shoes? That's not equality.
That's because you can afford it. You work for this shit.
That's just a perk that I am who I am. I work for who I am, and I have a little bit more clout now, so I can do that. But still doesn't change the fact that black people are being murdered, that kids are being murdered, and all of that. It doesn't change that I want to see those things change.
After all this discussion, I think we can all agree we live in the best country in the world. And anybody that does not believe that, go live in a third world country. Or Frank, you served overseas. Jody, I don't know if you served overseas.
In Korea.
Yeah, and you see what dictatorship is.
World.
You see what. Go try to kneel in other countries. I don't want to say. See what happens. Even if you have knees left. So we do live in the greatest country. Do we have issues? You're damn right do we do. Is one of them sitting in the Oval Office? Yes. And whether you want to say it or not, he is. Whether you support his policies or not, he is creating problems and rifts that we don't need. So yes, do we have a problem? Yes. But we as Americans, as proud Americans, whether you're naturalized or born here, absolutely are a part of this society. And we have, like Ishe and Kevin said, we all have a voice, and we all have to find a way to do this together.
Making a slow transition, I want to go over you, Kevin. When you, before anyone really knew who you were, when you were just getting UFC, you kind of came to prominence from some comments you had made.
About the guy's mother?
About Sage Northcutt. No, the rich white boy. That
white boy,
thing.
yeah.
What do you think? Comments controversial like that? I mean, ultimately that kind of helped you in a way because you. I mean,
I guess for some reason people try to separate race and sports. where, and it only comes down to whether you black or white. You know, when they had the Canelo Alvarez and you know, it's big because you know, you have Mexican versus Russia. Like it's an inherent storyline. Like people are drawn to that kind of thing. So I think even for it to be like, oh, if I mention that he's a white boy and people get like, ooh, everybody get tense about, like, what are you getting tense about? Like, he is like he's white and he's a boy. The kid's 19. You know, he's a boy. Like, I mean, what else? That's what I just call white boys. I mean, that's what he is. Do I have a problem if he called me a black boy? No, that's what I am. Does Canelo Alvarez have a problem if I call him Mexican? No, they fucking, you know, he wears the flag. Giant banners of, you know, fighting like a Mexican.
Wait,
that's his style. That's what he's.
Why those labels? Like, I wouldn't say that black guy. I wouldn't say. I don't know if I would use that label.
I mean, but that's
Maybe in the fight game is different. Maybe
it's just. I mean, that's just what it is. It's just promotion.
Maybe to sell the fight, but
to sell the fight, right? But
I probably
take it outside the fight.
I probably wouldn't. I probably personally wouldn't say it because I know what
I agree.
racists have
best
called.
Rocky movie was
Racists have called black. They love that boy.
But
I got you. I'm
they
with
love
you,
calling black men.
But
boys.
I mean, but you know,
that's
just the way I talk, and that's just the way I you know, I call my niggas. Like that's what I call them.
I've
like
always
that's,
come to Kevin's
so
defense,
I look. That's
well, you're
First Amendment. Like,
supposed to promote the fight, however you want to do it.
I've always come to Kevin's defense. You know, he may say stuff, and people say, "Oh, that's a racist dude." Kevin is, about anyone I've dealt with in sports, I mean, he's as accommodating, and I am as white as you cannot be whiter than me.
I agree.
And Kevin has
That's
always
true.
been super nice to me. Let's move on.
Very humble.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
He really.
Okay.
He just knows how. He understands the business.
All right, right.